What's up guys, welcome back to another video. We'll be continuing our Java series today and we'll be talking about methods, objects, and classes in Java. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you guys can see all my new content that I've been posting. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So let's start with methods. Essentially, a method is a collection of statements that are grouped together to perform an operation. So for example, when we output to the console using system.out.println, that's a method. The print line with parentheses is indeed a method. So it may look like that we're just calling that one line when we call system.out.println, but realistically, we're running a whole bunch of lines that are within that method. So when creating a method, you have your access or non-access modifiers, your return type, the name of the method, then your parameters. So for example, with the main method, you have public, your modifier, static, another modifier, void is the return type. So basically all that void means is it doesn't return anything. If we were returning a string, int, boolean, it would be there instead of void. Next we have main, which is just the name of the function. Then we're going to pass in an array of string named args. So basically guys, you can look at a method like a module or component of a class. Like it's one section that's grouped together that usually performs a certain operation. So let's go ahead and create a practical method so you guys can get a great example as to what I'm talking about. Let's create a method that gets the minimum value out of two different numbers. So now we have our method. Let's go ahead and create the method body. Okay, so now we have our method fully created. This is a public static method that returns an int. The name of the function is min function, and we're passing in two parameters, n1 and n2, both of type int. Within the function, we're creating a local variable min, then we're checking if n1 is greater than n2. If n1 is indeed greater than n2, the minimum is n2. So we're going to set min to n2. Then if it's not, then the only other option is the minimum has to be n1. Then we'll just return min. So let's go ahead and call that function within our main method. So in our main method, we're creating a local variable minimum and then calling the function. So as you see, since min function returns an int, we can call that function and set an int because that's what gets returned from the function. If min function was a void, we could not do this because it doesn't return anything. So let's go ahead and output that. Now let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. As you see in the console, we get the minimum number is 50, which is correct. Awesome. So let's go ahead and change these numbers to see if it still works. Now let's go ahead and run this. As you see in the console, we get the minimum number is 1,023,310. Awesome. That is the correct number. Instead of passing in a number directly, you can create two other variables and then pass in those variables. Let's go ahead and do that. Now let's go ahead and run this. As you see, we get the same exact answer. So it really doesn't matter if you want to pass in a variable or type in the number directly. It's really up to you, whatever you want to do. So now let me go ahead and show you an example of a void method. So like I said before, a void method does not return anything. So let's go ahead and create a void method that's called greetMe. So the function takes in a parameter of type string called name. In this function, we're just going to output something to the console. So as you see, we're outputting welcome and then name. Now let's go ahead and call this function in the main method. Now let's run it. As you see in the console, we get welcome John, just what we wanted. However, we could not do something like this. So this would be incorrect because we're not returning anything. We're not returning a string from that. We're just outputting in that. So that function does indeed do something, but it's just not returning anything. So just like in the min function, I'm returning an int, but say I were to change that to a string. Let's see what happens. Now we get a compilation error that says incompatible types, required int found java.lang.string. This is because we're not returning an int, and that's what we're setting as the return type. We can easily refactor this greetMe method to return a string. Let's do that. So now in the function, instead of outputting to the console, let's just return welcome name. Now you see that the compilation error in the main function previously went away because we are now returning a string in the greetMe. So now we can actually set a string called welcome within the main function. Now let's output welcome to the console in the main method. Now let's run it. As you see, we still get welcome John. So that's pretty much it for methods, guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments and I will definitely get back to you. They're pretty simple, so you guys should be all set. So now let's move on to objects and classes. Let's get rid of all of this. So essentially, an object has states and behaviors. For example, a dog has states, a color, a name, a breed, and behaviors. A dog can wag its tail, a dog can bark, a dog can eat, and etc. So basically an object is an instance of a class, and we've created many classes before in previous videos. So essentially you can look at a class like a template or blueprint of an object. So from an object perspective, the variables in the class would be kind of like the states, and then the function within the class would be kind of like the behaviors. So let's go ahead and create an example of this. Let's go ahead and create a new class called dog. So now let's create 3 attributes for the dog. The dog will have a breed, age, and color attribute. Let's go ahead and create those. So as you see in the dog class, we have breed, age, and color. All attributes of a dog essentially. Now let's go ahead and create some behaviors a dog does, like bark and eat food. So now we have our method stubs within the dog class. Let's go ahead and output something in that barking method. So in that barking method, we're barking. So next in the eat food method, let's do something similar. So now let's go ahead and create a constructor. So whenever we create a new instance of a class like we've done previously using the new keyword, it's actually using a default constructor. By default, you do not have to declare a default constructor, but you can if you'd like. So a default constructor for this class would look like, boom, that simple. In IntelliJ, we actually have a little shortcut for this. We can right click and go to generate, select constructor, and select all the variables that you'd like and click OK. So now we have 2 options when creating a new instance of the dog class. We can just create a new dog, how we usually do, or we can create a new dog and pass in breed, age, and color, and that'll set the variables. Let's go ahead and do that in our example class. So since we have the constructor that has 3 attributes, let's create a new instance. So now we have a new instance of a dog, and we're setting the breed to pit bull, age to 2, and color to brown. Let's go back to the dog class. Now, if we were to get rid of this constructor, we'd get an error because we don't have a constructor that has those parameters. We'd still be able to create a normal instance using the regular new keyword, but none of the values within that dog class would be set unless we had setter methods or something like that. So let's undo that. Alrighty. Now let's go back to our dog class and actually generate a toString method. Now let's output that dog object and see what it looks like. So let's run it now. As you see in the console, we get dog, breed is set to pit bull, age is 2, and the color is brown. Great. Now let's do something else. Let's call those behavior functions we also created. So now we're calling the barking function and the eat food function. Let's go ahead and run it. Now we get in the output as well as eating, just what we wanted. So let's try to actually make this a little more advanced. Output the actual name of the dog within the eat food method. Let's go back to our example class and run it. As you see, we get the pit bull is eating. Awesome, exactly what we wanted. Now what were to happen if we didn't have a breed set? Let's try it. Let's go back and use our other default constructor. Now let's run it. We get the null is eating. What is that? So pretty much we never set anything, so it's null, it's empty. There is no value. So remember, the only way to set the attributes in a class are within the constructor, or you can do it by creating setter methods. And remember guys, we can easily create getters and setters within IntelliJ by right clicking and doing generate. Then selecting all the variables and clicking OK. Now we have getters and setters for breed, age, and color. So now we can actually set these using the setters without using the constructor. Let's go ahead and do that. So now we're setting the breed, age, and color. Let's run it. As you see, we get our correct results again. We get pit bull for the breed, age for 2, and the brown is the color. Awesome. So pretty much guys, like I said, you can set these variables in the constructor, or you can make setter methods. That'll be it for today guys. We covered methods, objects, and classes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave some comments with some suggestions on what we should create our new videos on, and as well as anything else that you'd like to see or any questions you have for me. Have a good one. I'm out of here. See you later.